It's time now for your weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news. This is the Southwest Outdoors Report.
Hi everybody, and welcome into this week's show. The serious drought that has affected our Southwest region over the last few years has been very sporadic. We've had good rains in Oklahoma and Arkansas and eastern Texas, and those lakes are back to full and normal level. But many of our lakes in the western and southern portions of the region are still in very deep trouble. It's one of those lakes that we originate from on this week's episode. I want to welcome you into Lake Buchanan. This lake is located in the beautiful Texas Hill Country, just a little bit west of Burnet, Texas, a little north of Marble Falls. You can see here in the background, in the far distance there above that boat, those are houses. They're lakefront houses. Right now, those houses are a good quarter to a third of a mile from the nearest water. We're at a resort that does have a little makeshift boat ramp here, so we're going to basically be launching off the shore, but I think we're going to be okay, and we'll get out, test out the fishing at Lake Buchanan. While we're doing that, we'll take you around the region for your latest fishing reports from Oklahoma, Louisiana, and Texas. But first, we're going to take you back to the FSN studios and get this thing cranked up. Julie gets it started with your weekend plan.
The Salooner tables are forecasting fair to good conditions for weekend fishing. The best chances for game fish activity will be on Saturday during the night hours or on Sunday morning starting at 11:35. The sun will rise at 7:24 and set at 7:06. And we have a new moon beginning on Friday, so evenings will be mostly dark with very little moonlight. Stay with us, we have all of your fishing updates from around the area. Plus, I'll return with Stacy King on the Whataburger Ask the Pro to offer some advice on tying a knot with fluorocarbon line. First though, here's a look at some of our recent entries in the Costa Catch of the Week contest. These catches didn't win, but we definitely thought they were still worth sharing.
Southwest Outdoors Report is brought to you by Exide AGM Marine Batteries. Starts like new, stays like new longer. By Jean LaRue and Bobby Garland Lures. With our baits, a good day of fishing is in the bag. By Motor Guide Trolling Motors, engineered for anglers. And by Nitro Performance Bass Boats, pure performance.
Hey everybody, we've made it out onto Lake Buchanan. Thanks for joining us. Pulled out here on the main river channel, and I've seen a couple of isolated fish actually blowing up on top of the water. So I've picked up a big, heavy rod and reel, a big spoon, and I'm letting it go down to the bottom, and now I've got one hooked up. There are 3 species in this lake: white bass, hybrid stripers, and that's a real striper there. Not too bad. Not too bad a way to get it started right here. Go ahead and slip him in the net. Kind of a long, skinny, torpedo looking fish right there. He hit a big spoon, big striper spoon. But that's a good way to get it started right there. That is a regular, full-blooded striper. Not keeping him today, so away he goes. The cool thing about this lake is that you can catch any of those 3 species on any given cast. Those fish will mix together. What you want to do is find bait fish, and what I found is some scattered balls of bait fish under here, and you can actually see, I don't know if you can see it in the background or not, but we've actually got some more fish, a few of them scattered, that are just blasting the surface of the water. So you want to look for birds diving at the water. You want to look for scattered fish blowing up on top of the water, and then you want to use your sonar and look for bait fish. Get in that area where the bait fish are, and you'll be around stripers, and we'll show you all the baits that you can catch them on toward the end of the show in the Academy Sports and Outdoors Right Stuff. There's something else. Let's go ahead and see if we can get this one in, see what it is, and then we're going to get you to a fishing report. That's going to be a hybrid, little hybrid, not a big one. All right, so we've got action going on here at Lake Buchanan. Stay with us. I'm going to get this rodeo loose right here. without getting hurt. We'll be back for more fishing, but right now, let's get you over to Louisiana, check on Cajun Phil and Kevin.
I'm bringing you the Louisiana Saltwater Edition right now. We're down here in southwest Louisiana. As you know, last week I told you the redfish action was turned on. Well, I tell you what, it's still going strong. Still some trout action out there early and late over the reefs. Live shrimp's the best for that. Got these right here on soft plastics and top water up in the shallow marsh, just like y'all saw in the footage. We're gonna turn it over to Cajun Phil right now and let him give you the bass report for Louisiana.
Thanks, Captain Kevin. I tell you what, friends, it's been hot and heavy over here, but let's talk about bass fishing and let's talk about our friends on the eastern part of the state. Cajun Phil's finally getting some decent reports from over there. Our friends around Morgan City, Lake Verret, they were catching some good bass all week long, said Cajun. We're catching them on buzz baits early in the morning. Later in the morning, we start throwing spinner baits. When it gets hot, they start throwing the plastic worms and doing good on Lake Verret, especially around all of Cypress Street. Little further to the east, we talked to several folks. They were down around the Henderson Bayou area. They said there they've been throwing lots of crankbaits, and it seems to be the chartreuse color crankbait seems to be working the best right now. Also picking up a few on spinner bait and some on plastic. Right now, crankbait seems to be really hot in the Henderson Swamp.
Eat it. Got him. Oh no, he's in a tree. Dang it. Troll over here to it. Come on, buddy. Come out of that tree. He felt like a really good fish. I can still feel him on here. Come loose, buddy. No, I don't feel him. There, I got him loose. Oh, there's another striper. He's gonna be tired because he was down in that tree. I'm just gonna flop him aboard. All right. There's a Lake Buchanan special for you right there. Just a good striped bass. That's really what I wanted to catch. Haven't caught a good hybrid yet, but there's a good striper for you. Welcome back, everybody. Southwest Outdoors Report. Down in the hill country of Texas at Lake Buchanan. Got a really good day for this. Just a little chop on the water, a little cloud cover, headed into these cooler weather months, and these fish are gonna really start feeding right here, and there's a lot of them in here. Let's let that fish go back. See you, partner. All right, we're using the technique of getting up over the fish and finding them on the fish finder. And all I'm doing is making little short pitches out there. I'm not making big, long fan casts. What I'm doing, we're in about 25 to 30 feet of water. I'm letting it spool all the way down to the bottom. Once it hits the bottom, then I'm clicking that reel into gear, reeling it 6 or 7 times, push the button again. Let it go back down. Crank it 6 or 7 times pretty fast, and one hit it right there. And it's amazing how much a striper and a hybrid will hit it that way versus jigging it up and down. If you want to catch white bass, you jig it up and down. But if you want to catch a hybrid or a striper, you do exactly what I'm doing here. Let it go to the bottom and then crank it up. Got him. Oh, and he got me around a tree. I'm sure that one's gonna break off right there. Okay, I'm gonna have to go try to get this one loose because it's really, really hung. Big trees out here. Good day, Lake Buchanan right now. Let's get you to Oklahoma. Check with Gary Dollahan on this week's fishing reports from there.
Hey, collegiate bass fishing is a really cool program, and recently Oral Roberts University of Tulsa hosted an Okie Series event on Fort Gibson Lake. Now that's part of the Collegiate Bass Fishing Championship Series. The pre-tournament meeting was held at Jean LaRue Lures, where Andrew Upshaw addressed a group of young anglers with some advice. He was the first angler to qualify for the Bassmaster Classic through the college fishing program. Now the guys had a great tournament on Fort Gibson Lake. There were 16 teams representing several schools throughout this area. It was won by the University of Central Oklahoma with over 19 pounds. Second place was one of the OSU teams with 17 pounds, and third place was Southeastern University with over 16 pounds. Had a good number of fish caught and some really big fish. Looked like the big bass of that event was over 8 pounds for Fort Gibson Lake. That is a giant. Great job to all of you collegiate anglers. For more information on that program, you can go to collegiatebassfishingchampionship.com. Now, what you can do to catch fish in Oklahoma right now, we've got a really cool bite going on, super shallow. And what I would recommend doing is fishing something really small with not a whole lot of action to it. Had a lot of good luck recently on 2 or 3 different lakes throwing a little 2-inch Bobby Garland swimming minnow rigged on a 1/8 ounce jig head. throwing it right up against the bank and reeling it back to the boat. Pretty simple style of fishing, but it's catching a lot of different species. Catching white bass, largemouth bass, catfish, good number of drum on that, but it's really a cool technique, especially if you're seeing any shad in the area. And if you're looking for the type of places to throw it, look for areas that has the wind blowing into it, whether it's a point, whether it's a rocky shoreline, or whether it's just a pocket itself that's catching the wind. It's got a lot of bait fish in the area. Throw that little tiny combination on a spinning rib, 6-pound test line, you're gonna catch some good fish. But one thing about it, you can't catch them if you don't go.
There's one good striper. There we go. Let's just swing him aboard. The sun has come out, as you can see, and the fish have gotten a little finicky and spread out, and they moved to a little deeper water. So I've gone to a little smaller spoon. Again, I'm going to show you all that stuff at the end, so we won't worry about it now, but there's another good striper. Let that one go back. I want to mention one thing. You might think with a lake like this being down 32 feet, in fact, I looked it up on the website, and the lake is only 34% full. So 2/3 of the water is gone from here, only 1/3 left. And you would think a lake like that, there just wouldn't be much depth and much water to fish. Wrong-o! It's a huge lake, a lot of deep water in the channel. I ran across some 60 and 70 foot water, so there's plenty of water left for these fish and lots of places for them to go, and still tons of fish in the lake. So even though the lake is down this much, actually, you can get a boat in here. It's still in relatively good shape. Stay tuned. We're coming back for more fishing reports and more striper and hybrid fishing from Lake Buchanan, Hill Country of Texas, right after this.
The Southwest Outdoors Report is brought to you by Mercury, the official outboard of the Southwest Outdoors Report for 11 years running. By Academy, right stuff, low price, every day. By Tracker Boats, fish the finest. And by Whataburger, just like you like it.
Man, what a school fish. Golly. There's one, ate it on the way up. Classic stuff right there. Come up on top, let's see what you are. There he is, striper. Come up there. All right, well, that works. Let me tell you a little secret, and this has been around for years, and I know you've heard it if you've been around fishing for very long. But we've got a little circumstance going on out here where we got a lot of fish schooling on top. And if you just want to take a little spoon, a little slab, top water, throw it out there and pull it in that first 6 feet of water, you're going to catch a white bass every single time, and some good sized ones too. If you're willing to be a little more patient, get a bigger, heavier bait, spool it all the way to the bottom, and work those fish that are down deeper underneath, you can catch a striper like that one. They've been real skinny today. Or a hybrid striper. They are definitely working underneath these schools of white bass, and all these shad are on top, and the white bass are hitting those things and killing them, and a lot of them will just flutter down that the white bass don't get. And these babies are waiting down there underneath, just waiting for an easy meal. If you're patient, work underneath the schools, you catch bigger fish, bigger species of fish like the hybrid or the striper. Back he goes. All right, we got it working today. Got a good day working, good weather, good fishing. And so right now, let's take you over to Brian Hughes, a good dude, with your fishing reports from the state of Texas.
Hi everybody, and welcome to this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by Gun Safes by Kennedy'sCorner.com. Now my good friend Roy Simmons tells me that on Richland Chambers right now, the sand bass and the hybrids are a little bit slow because of the heat. Now this will change once we get a change in seasons, but we don't really know when that's going to happen. So, in the meantime, go ahead and chase the catfish down by the dam, because they report a great bite down there on both cut baits and prepared baits. You get around the dam, throw 2 or 3 tight lines out, just kind of let them soak, and you may want to bait that area a little bit with some soured maize to get them fired up. Now for the bass fishermen, they'll want to start, as always, early in the morning, topwater baits, and look for some of the boat docks and or brush stuff sticking up out of the water. Some of the docks, due to the lake level, may or may not have fish or even water under them, find the deeper ones, you should find some fish. Now, finally, the sand bass and the hybrids will come back as soon as we start getting a couple of these cool fronts rolling through, and you'll be using your standard baits on them, like your topwaters and slabs. That's this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by GunSafesByKennedysCorner.com. Now let's check in with Mr. Bill Olson. You'll find him on the coast.
Hi folks, this week's report is brought to you by Port Aransas on Mustang Island, the fishing capital of Texas, where anglers enjoy pristine bays, estuaries, 18 miles of surf, and the deep blue waters of the Gulf of Mexico. Plus the local restaurants will even cook your catch come sundown. Come fish and play Texas Island style. For more information, visit portaransas.org. Well, the much anticipated arrival of cool fall weather is forecasted to arrive this weekend, and it looks like fall weather is going to stick around for a while. The big thing is the wind shift out of the north, which will blow bait out of the marshes and drop tides. Now, anglers positioning themselves around marsh drains and mouths of back lakes should do well with topwater lures, soft plastics, or live bait. Bird activity from West Matagorda northward in every bay to Sabine will increase. Use your trolling motor or set up drifts to pass to the side of the action. Use long rods and heavier jig heads to make long casts to reach the action, then get down to the better quality fish. As the front passes, look for the surf to produce some good action for bull reds. Once things settle, the surf will again become a good option for those waiting for trout. Now from Port O'Connor southward to Port Isabel, speckled trout will be moving up from deeper reefs and grass beds to feed along shallow shorelines. Redfish will also be on the move around the back lakes and back sides of barrier islands. Offshore this past Tuesday, October 1st, the red snapper season reopened in federal waters for 14 days. Enjoy it while you can. While offshore, particularly on the back side of the front, look for conditions to settle and weed lines to form. Around those areas, look for dorado, blackfin tuna, wahoo, and kingfish. Those all remain good options. This weekend, both Saturday and Sunday have a double tide schedule of 2 high and 2 low tides each day. I'm Bill Olson, and I'll see you on the coast.
The Southwest Outdoors Report is brought to you by Costa Sunglasses. See what's out there. By Lubes, setting a new standard in fishing performance. Feel the difference. By Strand Fishing Lines, the standard of dependability. And by Strike King Lures, #1 in fishing.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's get right to your Whataburger Ask the Pro question for this week. Jim in Texas writes, I sometimes have a problem with my knots using fluorocarbon line. What is the best kind of knot to use? Let's ask Bassmaster angler Stacy King for some advice.
You know, I've had great success with fluorocarbon line ever since it got on the market many years ago. And fortunately, I was on the Bass Pro field test team at that time, and we got a lot of different manufacturers' fluorocarbons to try. And in doing that, we tried a lot of different knots and tested the knot strength with a machine. And we found that the best knot for me, I found, was a Berkeley trilene knot. And it ties real easy, and it's just a good strong knot with fluorocarbon. And we did find out one knot is not good, and that's a Palomar knot. A Palomar knot will cut itself with fluorocarbon. And I've had a lot of guys say, you know, I don't like fluorocarbon because I break it too easy. And I say, well, what kind of knot are you tying? And they'll say, well, I tie a Palomar knot. And I say, try a Berkeley trilene or another type knot, and I think you'll have better success. And it generally always works out for the best. It's Berkeley knot is a great knot for fluorocarbon.
Thank you, Stacy. If you want one of your questions to be answered on the show, just visit southwestoutdoorsreport.com, click on the Ask the Pro link, and send us the information. Now let's see who wins a brand new pair of sunglasses on the Costa Catch of the Week.
Congratulations this week to Wade Hatcher of Abilene, Texas, showing off his 13.29 pound largemouth bass he caught out of O.H. Ivy Reservoir, and he's pictured here with his sons. Now here's a little something unusual. We've had a big run on big trophy bass from Ivy. We've only got one winner, and that's Wade, but we're going to show you some other big catches from O.H. Ivy, including Stacy Brookings with a 13.22, Zachary Boyd with a 12-pounder, Steve Sutton, Roger Slagle, and Kendall Davis with bass all over 11, Paul Kruger with a 10-pounder, and Joey Wynn with 2 8s and a 7. Now, if you would like to enter your Big Fish in Hour contest, just go to our front page at southwestoutdoorsreport.com. Right-hand side of the page, click on the Costa Catch of the Week area, follow the instructions, and you could win a brand new pair of Costa sunglasses like Wade does on this week's episode. And if you'd like to see all the Costa sunglasses, go to their logo, middle of our front page, and that will take you directly to their website. You can see all the frame and lens styles, including this month's frame style of the month, Switchfoot, and that's the pair of glasses that I was wearing on this week's episode. Next up on the Academy Sports and Outdoors Right Stuff feature, it's the right gear to catch whites, hybrids, and stripers here on Buchanan, beginning on the left with a 1/2 ounce Cordell CC spoon, and that'll catch the whites and a few hybrids and stripers as well. In the middle is a bigger spoon. I think it's a Moe's Tackle 4 or 5 inch spoon, a big heavy spoon to catch the hybrids and the bigger stripers, and on the right, a plastic swim bait. I've been intrigued lately by the concept of paying it forward. Many of us think that it originated back in 2000 with the Kevin Spacey and Helen Hunt movie by the same name, but actually Pay It Forward traces all the way back to 1916 in a book called In the Garden of Delight. It's built around the concept that when someone does you a good deed, does an act of kindness for you, rather than returning it back to them, you pay it forward by repeating that kind deed, that good act, for someone else, and then that perpetuates itself on down the line. You know, I know people who live by that motto, who buy strangers lunch, or who carry something for someone else, go out of their way to do some kind of a good deed. And I think the world would be a better place if we would all adopt that. As a matter of fact, there's now a website, payitforward.org, that specifies all of the acts of kindness worldwide. They've had over 1 million of their reminder bracelets sold, and they even have an iPhone app. So what we all might do is get ourselves a bracelet or some other way to remind ourselves that the next time someone does something kind for us, pay it forward by doing that same act of kindness for someone else. Hey, I hope you've enjoyed our trip to Lake Buchanan today. Caught some really good stripers, some hybrid stripers, and a whole bunch of white bass. I think you would enjoy a trip here, but I will warn you that as long as this lake is 32 feet low, loading and unloading a full-size boat like this one can be, let's say, a real challenge. Hope you'll join us on next week's show. We'll be on at 10:30 on Thursday night, 8 o'clock on Saturday morning on Fox Sports Southwest. If that time changes, you'll be the first to see it on the front page of our website at southwestoutdoorsreport.com. And we're on Wednesday mornings on Fox Sports South as well. You can see all of our past episodes on our YouTube channel. Just click on the YouTube logo on the front page of our website. See a lot of video, photos, fishing news on our Facebook page by clicking on the Facebook logo. And as always, you can see the most recent episode right on the front page of our website, all at southwestoutdoorsreport.com. From Lake Buchanan, hill country of Central Texas, until next week, I'm Barry Stokes. Be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.